Miki.
Nathan.
Matt.
Dwight.
And welcome to the Mishmash Entertainment Podcast.
Yeah. All right. So I went to trivia recently. It was for the show How I Met Your Mother. It's done now. It's been out a couple years. But I was really, really surprised at how seriously people take their trivia nights. And so my friends and I, before the trivia night, we watched a few episodes. We looked up a few interesting facts. You go to IMDb and you go to the trivia section. It's got all the neat little tidbits, and we're like, okay, we're prepared. So we get there, and the questions they ask are so obscure, and everyone's dressed up, and I come to find out that people will literally study for these trivias for weeks sometimes. And one group that we were talking to said they split up their group into separate people. So this person would say watch seasons 1 and 2 of How I Met Your Mother, and they would watch the seasons several times and study and take notes. And then this other person would be responsible for seasons 3 and 4, and this person responsible for, and so on. And they just study it over and over again. So when it comes to a question, there's a good chance that someone will have picked up on that from watching, because Divide and Conquer works really well with that kind of thing when you have 9 seasons of a show. And so next time I gotta wait for a show that I can stand to watch that many times, first of all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think my friends and I are probably gonna do that next time.
Sounds like fun. Yeah, kind of tangentially related. It wasn't a trivia thing at a pub or anywhere like that, but my roommate, she's a huge Star Wars fan. She reads most of the books. She's watched all the movies a bunch of times, not the prequels, because the prequels, they're the prequels. But she bought a trivia game, and she was saying that it was just absurd how specific even that trivia game for Star Wars got. It was kind of like a Trivial Pursuit for Star Wars type deal.
I think I owned that, yeah.
Yeah, and she was just it was her and her friend that are huge fans. Then they were playing with some other people that just got no questions right because it was too obscure and just ridiculous. But some people really love their trivia. Yeah, when I think I had the exact same when we were talking when I was younger, and I remember it was a good mix for me because I knew about half the questions. But then I got to university, and I had a friend, and I was with him once when he went to return it. And it was kind of awkward. I didn't want to be with him, but he returned it, and they're like, "Oh, why do I return it? It's open." He's like, "Well, we played it, and I knew everything, so it was kind of boring. It wasn't really trivia for me." I'm just like, "Oh, grown." Yikes!
Oh
yeah.
My! I know. At my work, we have an employee appreciation day once a year, and they'll have pizza and snacks and little things throughout the day, and they always have a trivia. And everybody goes ham over trivia, and I never really understood it. They don't really study, per se, but a lot of people that I work with do the crossword.
Yeah.
And they'll do the crossword every day. They'll do the crossword that's in the Metro, the free paper. They'll do the crossword that's in the Chronicle Herald, the not free paper. Yeah. Because we get all of these papers through work, and they'll just do them. And then every once in a while, somebody will be like, "Oh, you guys want to help me do, the New York Times crossword, or this crossword, or the crisscross, or whatever." And they just do all of these crosswords. So they have all of this, weird knowledge to begin with. Yeah. And then all of those people that do the crosswords and are good at them, they all join together to form a team of people that just know a lot of really obscure things. And they always win at trivia. And it's kind of disappointing because, everybody gets super excited because trivia is fun. Yeah. And then you'll know, a decent amount of things. But then this group, they're just so serious about it. They get almost all points. Last time, I think they missed one thing. And they were, so disappointed in themselves. They were like, "Oh, I can't believe we didn't get that." I was like, how do you know all of this to begin with?
Yeah.
It's just insane how serious people take trivia sometimes.
Especially the general trivia where they take questions from any sources, not just the specific ones. Like I mentioned, the How I Met Your Mother. People take a little crazy, but at least you only have one show to watch. You're not taking from everything, right? The general trivias are a lot harder, I find.
Yeah, the one that I did was a general trivia. It was which flag is this? Who's this in a movie?
Right,
what kind of car is that? So on and so forth.
Yeah, a little harder to expect something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I get the enjoyment of trivia. I've never really done a trivia thing myself, but I have watched QI. I don't know if anyone knows what that is.
I've seen some of that, it's really good.
Yeah, hosted by Stephen Fry. It's just it was hosted by Stephen Fry. It's been taken over by Sandy Toksvig now. Not that I imagine most people know who either of those people are, but
I know Stephen Fry.
Yeah. He's a funny guy, very intelligent, very well spoken. But it's just one of those things where I watch it because it's a bunch of comedians there and they're asked questions and it's a comedy thing. It's not meant to be taken super seriously. The points don't matter. But it's one of those things where I know I have a bunch of random knowledge in my head from watching that. Like, what is this one that came to my head? The largest penis size for an animal in regards to body length is barnacles. It's barnacles is what I'm saying.
Right,
like
okay.
they've got very long, like stringy grossnesses that they flap around to try to find other barnacles.
Interesting.
I'm sorry, Miki's
Wow.
looking at me.
Amazing.
Very
That's
concerned
so
that I know
weird.
this. Yeah.
Why is that thing you know? Like,
Because I watched QI. That's
oh
why.
my
So,
dear goodness. Okay.
yeah, it's
All
gross.
right. I know this is like completely unrelated, but after you said that there was a show that you watched with like people, and it was kind of a funny thing. It just reminded me of this one video. I don't know if he was Scottish or Irish, but it was of this guy. He's like trying to be like a sort of trivia, like, ooh, this is a science question I'm gonna ask the people of the internet, and he's like, what weighs more, a bag of feathers, or a brick, or something like that.
A ton of feathers or a ton of bricks.
Yeah, that's it. A ton of
Yeah.
feathers or a ton of bricks. And he's like, it's a ton of bricks. And then his friends come in and they're like, no, Joe, no, they're the same. And he like does not understand. And every time I see the video, I just can't help but laugh. I just think it's hilarious.
I've never understood why people don't understand that. It's like a feather is less dense than a brick, therefore a ton of feathers weighs less than a ton of bricks. No, it's still a ton.
Yeah.
Still a ton. Not that complicated.
There's just more of the lighter thing than the heavier thing.
Yeah.
But that video, it always just makes me laugh so much.
I'm curious if you could fit more feathers, because feathers will compress quite a bit if you put it in a bag. So, would a bag of feathers have more empty space than a bag of bricks? If you broke up the bricks would obviously take up less space. But like,
Obviously.
I'm thinking of like cinder blocks.
But if you like
so-
vacuum packed all of these feathers.
Yeah.
I think
'cause
you would
they
have to
compress.
literally crush the feathers. 'Cause
Yeah,
the
yeah.
feathers have that hollow.
That's fair,
Whatever
yeah.
it is, cartilage thing in it.
But I mean, a lot of bricks. No, bricks are pretty solid. Again, I'm thinking of cinder blocks. where they-
Right, there's a
yeah,
lot of
big
space in
holes,
the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah.
But even with a regular brick, there's still a lot of space in the middle.
Yeah.
They're just smaller.
Yeah.
Right.
Fair enough.
Things to ask a science person.
I'm kind of a science person. My community college course is science adjacent.
There you go.
More science than I know.
I teach maths to teenagers. Oh, I try anyway.
There you go.
They don't like it.
I had to do calculus in my course. Isn't that impressive? It's not. It's really easy
Exciting.
calculus. So.
So now, I know, Nathan, you were talking earlier about shows and movies that aren't actually released in their chronological order.
Oh, yeah. So I recently watched an anime called Fate Zero. That's what it's called. And I really liked it. It was really cool. And
Popular
then,
series.
yeah, and then I come to find out that it actually was the prequel to this one called Fate Stay Night. And I'm like, oh, shoot, so I should have probably watched Fate Stay Night. So that's what people recommend. And then you go back and watch the prequel. But I went to watch it, and on the plus side, I found that it was explaining things a lot better. Like, the prequel would just kind of gloss over some of the little bits, and I was just like, oh, okay, so you just gotta pay attention. But then you watch the first series of Fate Stay Night, and I found that they do explain it a lot better, but there's not it just didn't grab me like the prequel did. So I feel like if I would have just watched the prequel and never even heard of it, I would have been completely happy with the experience, right? But now I'm just like, well, I kind of feel like I started Fate Stay Night, and I feel like I gotta finish it now, but I'm not enjoying it as much.
Yeah.
Now, I watched an anime show a while ago now, but it was called The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. I don't know if any of you guys
My
have
brother's
seen
told
it.
me about that. I haven't seen it.
It's a pretty good show, honestly. But if you watch it from, episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, and so on and so forth, it doesn't really seem off, but it doesn't really seem right. Now, it wasn't actually released in chronological order. So when they released episodes from week to week when it initially came out, that wasn't the episode that wasn't the order that they were supposed to be watched in necessarily. So there's so many theories online as to what happens before what, because the second to last or third to last episode is like the end of the school year sort of thing because it takes place in high school.
Right.
And then the last episode is one of the guys going to get a air conditioner because it's too hot in their club room at school. But this is after school has ended for the year. So
Right.
it's like, okay, when was this actually supposed to happen? And it just kind of leaves me wondering. I never really went back to watch it in the supposedly chronological order, but it kind of makes me wonder if it would make more sense, or if it would be like the Fate that you saw and it was not as good as what you had expected.
Right.
And now, you were talking earlier about a certain series of movies that wasn't released in order per se.
Yep, Star Wars, which I have learned that we have two people in this room call themselves nerds.
Shame.
Haven't watched Star Wars.
Look, I watched one of the Star Wars movies, so that's good enough.
You've seen
for
one
me.
set.
I've watched one as well.
Yeah, which one did you watch?
I have no idea.
Can't say I know either. I want to say that it's 7, but I'm not really
Was
sure.
it the new one?
Not the newest one.
Then it wasn't 7. Well, like unless you count Rogue One, because that was also a Star Wars movie. But
It wasn't Rogue One. It was the one before that.
so that was.
It was the
7.
one with the girl, the BB-8. Is
Yeah.
that one?
Yeah, so that is 7.
Oh, I'm so proud of myself.
My buddy got mad at me that when he found out that I never watched Star Wars, and he sat me down and made me watch the movie. I liked it, but it was like 3 o'clock in the morning type of thing.
I actually don't blame you. They can be kind of hard to get into.
Yeah.
Like, there's a scene in the first one, number 4, not number 1, because number 4 came out first. A New Hope, where Alex McGinnis, is that who played?
Alex Guinness, I think.
Alex
it is.
Guinness, yes.
Yeah.
There's a point where he's fighting Darth Vader, and he literally, this is an audio podcast, it doesn't make much sense for me to demonstrate it, but he has his lightsaber, and he literally spins around in a slow circle and then swings at Darth Vader, and it looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know why they made him do that. Like, he was clearly too old to do it quickly, because he was fairly old when he was filming the movie.
Right.
And it's just like, and there's a lot of campy stuff, and it's got like the fade wipes where it does like a circle around the screen and it wipes to a new screen, and that can look really, really corny nowadays. But I think it's worth it. I think they're still good movies. 5's the best, 4 then 6. I mean, you'll get people that argue.
Yeah, but I mean, with the original trilogy, you can't really say any of them are bad. I don't think. There may be different levels.
6 certainly has its weaknesses.
Right. The Ewoks.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Because I actually read recently that the reason they're Ewoks is because they didn't have the budget for Wookiee costumes. Imagine how much cooler it would have been if it was a planet full of Wookiees, giant dudes with laser crossbows, helping bowcasters. There we go. Helping defend against the Empire. Yeah. That would be so much cooler. It would make more sense than little teddy bears throwing rocks.
Yeah.
Throwing rocks at stormtroopers and armor. Makes it actually, that's probably why I would say that's 6 is probably the weakest. I still like it, but
I still like it. I don't like the prequels. I made that pretty clear earlier. And if you do like them, you're wrong. Not really. People with their own taste.
What are opinions?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's only facts, no opinions. You have to agree with me on all things. But I really like 7. I think my favorite is probably 5, then 7, and 4. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, for me, I always prefer watching things the way they were released, because you should have all the information you actually need to follow what's happening with the first series.
Right, yeah.
That's released, and then you can watch the prequels. It doesn't hurt, but sometimes you get things spoiled for you watching a prequel. Like, you'll find out a character, you might find out, like, they might reference that this person gave birth to someone, and then that giant reveal in the main movies that happened in Star Wars, of course, is like ruined.
In the prequels, I think at the end when Luke and Leia are born, I think they say their names, right?
I think they do. I never actually watched 3, so I can't confirm that.
Okay, I'm pretty sure they do it. So that would spoil the big reveal from Episode 5 at the end, where Luke, I'm your father, and well, we knew that. We saw the prequels first.
It would also spoil learning that Luke and Leia are brother and sister.
Oh yeah, that too.
They kissed at one point, and it's really creepy because I guess George Lucas is just weird. But
he apparently told Carrie Fisher not to wear a bra or something.
Yes, he said the reason he gave was apparently he convinced her that, like, in space the under wire would like cut into her skin or something. It would expand or something.
No, I actually read this a while ago on Reddit,
Yeah.
and he told her not to wear her bra because when you're in space, you don't need a bra because there's no gravity.
Oh, that's
Right,
right.
right.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
So
back
they
in those
just told
days, she was
themselves
high on cocaine all the time, so she probably believed him.
Yeah. Yeah. Although there is that one picture where people say she has a coke fingernail, and she responded, "I was like, no, I was a respectable cokehead. I use a dollar bill like everyone else." So, yeah, that's.
So now, what was the release of Star Wars versus the chronological order of Star Wars? Because I'm far from familiar with these films.
You don't even know that much. Oh, it hurts.
Sorry.
It goes 4, A New Hope, 5, Revenge of the
Empire Strikes
Back, yeah.
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi, yeah.
The
Revenge of the
first
Sith
prequel
is,
is Phantom Menace.
that's number 3, I think. Yeah, but he goes 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, and then Rogue One.
Right.
Yeah.
So then what would be the chronological order?
Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay. So
That's-
when they came out, they obviously didn't have numbers.
No, I think they, starting with Empire Strikes Back, I think they named it Episode 5, but originally it was just Star Wars, and it was Star Wars A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, and then I think at some point they were like 4, 5, and then 6.
Right.
Because they were 4, 5, and 6 before 1, 2, and 3 came. Excuse me, sorry, that's gross. Burping on Mike. They were numbered 4, 5, and 6 before 1, 2, and 3 came out.
Right. So I think I read he always intended to basically start at the other part, but I think he said he didn't have the tech or something like that to do what he wanted to do.
He was waiting for tech to meet up with what his vision was, and his vision was awful.
His vision was everything is tech, everything is green screen, and then
So now, if you watch the movies 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, do 1, 2, 3 kind of seem like flashbacks, or are they just like prequels in the wrong place?
But they're their own thing, really. I don't think you need to watch 1, 2, and 3. I don't think they actually add anything to the series, which is actually honestly my biggest problem.
I've heard some other commentary saying that you can basically skip you can watch there's 2 scenes in Phantom Menace that basically are there's the first scene where they meet up with the Senate, and the last scene which is the fight with Darth Maul. Those are those 2 are kind of cool and they add to it, but the whole middle of Phantom Menace literally I would skip it and then 2 and 3 maybe, but from what I've read is that the prequel trilogy does kind of set up the politics a little bit. And how the Empire came to be a little bit.
Yeah, but the politics has never been interesting in Star Wars.
Yeah. Okay.
Never been interesting.
No, that's fair. But
4,
I mean,
5, and 6, you knew there was a war. That's the whole scrolling part in the beginning.
Right.
But they don't spend half the movie talking about politics. It's about a rebellion. It's not about how the Republic formed and why it is the way it is. Which, that could be a very interesting movie if it was well written and well paced.
Totally, yeah.
And not made by someone that didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
So now the Star Wars series, it kind of ended with on the 6th movie, whether it's called 3 or 6, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they added a 7th one, and then they added another one after that, Rogue One or whatever it is. Now that kind of seems to me like they're just trying to feed in and get more money, and I know a lot of shows do that sort of thing
Disney
too.
spent a lot of money to get the rights to Star Wars, so they got to pump out movies. It was $4 billion. Yeah. So they got to make at least their $4 billion back. Right?
That's insane. Okay.
There was no need for Episode 7, and if Episode 7 had been bad, I would have been really angry that they had done that, but it was well done. So
it was mostly good. I found the story wasn't super original. It was fun. It was really fun. That's what I guess.
Yeah,
would say about
they're continuing with George Lucas's idea of the rhyming trilogy, which it's that's what he said. It's not my words, but it's history repeating itself and whatnot.
Right.
So
okay.
That's the general idea behind that. I think it was too similar. I think it would have been better to be a little bit more unique.
Right.
But I still liked it.
So now, what are some other shows that have a ridiculous amount of episodes that's unnecessary? Because I know there are a lot of shows, and some people will talk about them and be like, oh, I just watched season 16 of this show. And I'm like, season 16?
South Park
Why
is
does
up
it
there.
need
Simpsons
16?
is way past. Yeah.
I mean, South Park was bad for a while, and then it got good again.
South Park's one of those shows that I found actually I got better later on.
Yeah.
And still, it's still pretty good.
I think South Park comes and goes. They have good seasons, they have bad seasons, but it seems like they have stretches of good seasons and stretches of bad seasons.
Yeah. A lot of their seasons, they'll do stretches of just crude humor, and then it's crude political or social commentary that's actually like super biting and hard hitting. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, and then back to like just crude episodes that are kind of gross. And
The Simpsons was mentioned. I think Family Guy has had its run.
Family. I can't stand Family Guy anymore. I watched it a little bit in the early days. Simpsons. Seasons 1 through 12, I think, are probably some of the best television ever written. I would make that. I would defend that. I think. It's just smart writing, a lot smarter than people give it credit for, right? But after that, it started to go downhill. And there's actually, I read this thing recently, and it basically someone pinpointed the point in the Simpsons story where they think everything went downhill. And for anyone who watches, it was the episode. I think it was the Principal and the Pauper. I think is what it was. Maybe that's It was the episode where. Where Principal Skinner, they basically said, oh, he's not actually Principal Skinner. He was Armin Tamzarian. Yeah. Right? So basically, someone was like, that's when the show started to go downhill. The writers went and did this. So they built up this backstory of this Principal Skinner character, making this like, just basically make this history for him of all these like heartwarming moments with him, and like he's got this kind of personality. And it's like, oh, just kidding. He's been a poser the whole time. He's actually this bad boy that took the place of the real Principal Skinner. Yeah. In the war, because he died in the war. Yeah. And I guess I didn't actually realize that at the point. I always just kind of thought the death of Maude was around where it started going downhill. But yeah, that I read that and it made a lot of sense. It's like the writers were almost like kind of getting they're out of ideas. So like, well, let's do this. Whoa, it's not Principal Skinner. He's actually Armin Tamzarian. Just for the sake of like change.
Just kind of like that, and it was all a dream.
Yeah. And it's almost even self-aware too. In the very end of that episode, they're like, "Let's just forget this ever happened," and like we're good at that. We're good at forgetting.
It's kind of just the shark jumping moment, right? Where it's like, why would you do that? That was entirely unnecessary.
Yeah,
so
for
just
sure.
Like there was no. You could have introduced another character that had kind of a similar story if you wanted to tell that kind of story.
Right.
But you took an already established character and you're just like, oh, we're gonna do something crazy with them because we can.
Right.
It's like, all right,
yeah,
neat, I guess.
Now, another show that I think has a lot of episodes, but I actually kind of think it deserves it. Game of Thrones.
Yes.
It has what season is it going on now?
7, I think 7 and 8.
7 is coming up.
Yeah.
7. Okay, so it's got a decent amount of seasons.
Right. And what helps with Game of Thrones, I think, is that they're 10 episode seasons, except for 7 and 8 that are coming out.
They're shorter.
Because 10 episodes are going to 8 and 6, and that annoyed me at first until I realized the implications.
Higher budgets.
Right. Yes. So their budget per season is the same regardless of how many episodes they make. So they have whatever their budget is divided over 8 episodes instead of 10. That means more money for cool special effects and big battles and stuff.
They're going to need it. Another thing these two haven't done is watch Game of Thrones. I'm calling you out again.
Yes, that's okay.
I'll get to it.
Maybe.
It's almost over.
I've seen a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff for Game of Thrones, so I kind of have the idea of what it's about. And...
It'd be one thing if you watched it and didn't like it, but you haven't even watched it.
Well, Game of Thrones, it's available on, what, satellite TV and HBO?
HBO, however you can get
only,
it, yeah.
Really?
And
okay.
I think the HBO streaming service you can't get it in Canada. Is that still true?
I don't remember.
Oh, wow, really?
To be fair, I usually watch it because my parents have an HBO subscription, so I can watch it.
Nice.
Legally.
Yeah, because I don't actually have cable. I don't have cable TV. I don't have satellite TV. I don't have anything like that. So if I wasn't able to get it on the HBO streaming service, I wouldn't be able to watch it.
I mean, if you actually do want to watch them, I have the DVDs for seasons 1 through 4.
I forgot DVDs exist.
Yeah,
that's a thing.
So.
Oh my gosh, that's kind of pathetic.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a really good show. I think it could. I think it's good that it's ending. It's one of those things where shows tend to overstay their welcome. They don't.
Oh, it is ending?
It is.
Yeah, season 8 will be
okay, so it's not going to be like one of those shows that kind of like, tries to milk it for everything it's got?
No, because it's following the book series, Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah.
And that has a definite end. Like he said, there's only 2 more books of that. So he's told the show producers basically what he plans on doing, where the show is going to end. So while they are making a lot of changes, they're going to end up in the same place. How they get there might change a little bit, and it has changed quite a bit. But the ending, the show will get to the same ending that the books has. So I don't think the show would be able to go much further than a couple more seasons, given that there's only going to be 2 more books.
Yeah, I will say, in regards to him saying it's only going to be 2 more books, I think it will be because he's getting up there in age, and he's... I don't like the thing that people are... He's going to die before he finishes the next book. but it is getting reasonable to say that once you're talking about like a third book after the second one.
Yeah.
Because he's getting up there in age, but I think it was originally supposed to be a trilogy, and then it was going to be 6 books.
Yeah.
And then he split book 4 into 2 books, 4 and 5.
Right.
So take it with a grain of salt saying there's going to be 2 more books. It might be 3 more books.
Yeah.
So
that's like what Robert Jordan, the Wheel of Time series.
Yeah.
I think he intended that to be a trilogy. Then it turned to the point where he was working on the 12th book, and then he got a rare blood disease and he died. Yeah. So we got this other author, Brandon Sanderson, who's really good, to take over. And he looked at Robert Jordan's notes for the 12th book, and he's like, I can't get this in one book.
Yeah.
So he split it into a trilogy, because he said they would have had to invent a new binding system to fit all this into one book. This is what he said. So he split it into a trilogy, and then that was basically Brandon Sanderson writing from his notes for the 12th book, and it became 12, 13, 14.
Yeah.
And he did a pretty good job with it. His tone's a little different, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Well, that's just like Guardians of the Galaxy. Each book was written by a different author, was it not?
I have no idea. I'm not a comic guy.
Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy.
But I mean, that is generally how comics work. Like, it's often
I
not
didn't
just...
even know they were comics, honestly.
Oh, really?
I thought they were novels, but yeah, no.
I think they're comics. I could be crazy.
They weren't... they were definitely comics. They weren't... Okay. I didn't know much about them before the first movie. They weren't one of Marvel's big names, right? But they kind of became it, and that's why the movie was such a surprise hit, because not a lot of people even knew what the Guardians of the Galaxy were. It's kind of risky for them, and it paid off because it was awesome. The first Guardians movie is probably my favorite of all the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, right? Yeah. So it was a bit of a risk because, like, you have, like, a talking raccoon and you have a tree, right? A tree that says the same 3 words constantly. Yeah. And but it worked. It was funny. It was awesome. And
yeah, it definitely worked. But at the same time, there's, like, authors writing series for other authors doesn't seem to be an uncommon thing at the same time.
Right.
Because I know the Garfield comics... They haven't been written by the original guy in a very long time.
Right, yeah. I didn't even know they were still making a new Garfield comics.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they are. They're always in the newspapers,
so I assume.
I can only assume.
Cool.
But anyways, I believe it's about time to wrap up this podcast. It's a little shorter than usual, but we'll make up for it next time, hopefully. So, Miki.
Nathan.
Matt.
Dwight.